PCB pollution threatens killer whale populations. According to a new study published in the journal Science, deadly PCBs were found in marine life, such as killer whales. According to CNN, PCBs were banned in most countries decades ago. However, they are still used in some parts of the world, which has allowed them to gradually seep into oceans. PCBs were used in paints, coolants, carbonless copy paper, and other products. Polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, can be consumed by plankton, which are then eaten by larger fish. As the PCBs move up the food chain, they become more concentrated. This puts killer whales in danger of consuming highly concentrated PCBs, as they are near the top of the food chain. The chemical was found to disrupt whales' reproductive system, endocrine system, and brain function. Mother whales can also pass the deadly chemicals on to their offspring through lactation. Researchers warn animals living off the coasts of the UK, Brazil, Hawaii, and Japan have high risk of population collapse because of PCBs. Orca, a charity dedicated to protecting whales, described the report as an absolute tragic state of affairs and needs immediate action. Keep watching for more ocean stories.
Most of the plastic in the ocean comes from these countries. Plastic waste is slowly but surely taking over the world's oceans, and the bulk of them apparently comes from just 5 Asian countries. A study from Ocean Conservancy estimates that 55 to 60% of plastic polluting the oceans comes from 5 countries: China, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Uncollected and mismanaged waste on land accounts for about 80% of the 8 million metric tons of trash that flow into the oceans each year. Environmental organization Greenpeace claims corporations are also at fault for selling products in single-use plastic packaging, especially in so-called sachet economies like the Philippines. Various studies have shown that plastic pollution negatively impacts marine animals and may be indirectly affecting humans through the food chain. Fortunately, improving waste management practices in the 5 countries can result in a 45% reduction of global plastic waste leakage by 2025. In tackling plastic pollution, everyone has a role to play. From governments and big conglomerates to the people on the street, every bit helps.
Yep, there's plastic in your sea salt. Karmic justice comes swift with Mother Nature, as plastic waste we've been throwing in the ocean is now coming back to us, literally, via the food we eat. Microplastic particles typically flow into the ocean, since they're often too small to be filtered out by sewage treatment plants. The tiny pieces of plastic are mistaken for food and ingested by fish and other sea creatures. Seafood meant for human consumption often contain these particles, and now a new study shows that salt may also be a vehicle for plastic contamination. Researchers studied sea salt extracted from 8 different countries and found that nearly all were contaminated with 72 foreign particles. Only the one from France was found to be free of contaminants. 30 of the particles were microplastics, 17 were pigments that may have once been plastic, and 4 were dust particles. 21 could not be identified. Scientists say the current concentration of plastic is low and won't affect human health. But if plastic pollution continues, those levels may increase and potentially become detrimental to our well-being. So for now, maybe ease up on the salt, and more importantly, reduce, reuse, recycle.
An ambitious plan to clean up the oceans. Forbes reports the Ocean Cleanup, a non-profit organization, has launched a beta cleanup system to collect plastic from the ocean. According to the organization, there are about 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic on the surface of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The organization has come up with a cleanup system that consists of a 600-meter-long floater and a 3-meter-deep skirt to prevent the plastic in the ocean from flowing over it. The system would also take advantage of natural forces such as the wind, ocean currents, and waves to propel the system forward and form a U shape naturally to concentrate plastic in the center. The cleanup system is also fitted with solar-powered lights, cameras, sensors, satellite antenna, along with anti-collision systems. A support vessel would come by periodically to take out the plastic gathered by the cleanup system, which would then be recycled and turned into products. This is just the first fleet. The organization eventually plans to launch 60 more fleets in a year or two. Business Insider reports some researchers worry the system might be harmful for marine life and could trap sea creatures as well. Meanwhile, others worry plastic parts in the ocean might be deeper underwater than the device can reach and claim it might be a much more complex task to remove such pollutants. It might soon be a permanent game over for coral reefs. Warming waters are hurting the world's coral reefs almost 5 times more than they did 30 years ago. Scientists looked at bleaching data in 100 coral reefs. They found that the frequency of bleaching from warmer waters increased 5-fold from once every few decades to once every 6 years. Bleaching occurs when the reef reacts to stressful changes in temperature, light, nutrients, and other conditions. This makes the reef eject the symbiotic algae in their tissue and turn pale white. Corals can survive and even recover, but continued bleaching eventually leads to death. According to the National Ocean Service, coral reefs are considered sessile animals, meaning they're fixed to one place. The World Wildlife Fund says they provide almost $30 billion in goods and services every year. They're also important for tourism, coast protection against heavy storms, typhoons, and even tsunamis. Florida's coastline threatened by toxic algae. According to a report from Tampa Bay Times, Florida's coastline is being threatened by toxic algal bloom, and it seems to be getting worse every year. CNBC reports an algal bloom is a rapid increase of the population of algae in a relatively short period of time and can take place on freshwater or marine water systems. Algal bloom is caused by the overabundance of nutrients, nitrogen, and phosphorus. These nutrients typically come from rainfall and wastewater outflows. The nutrients combined with the temperatures of the sea, sunlight, and water movement can work to trigger an algal bloom. According to the EPA, the toxic blooms hurt marine life by blocking out sunlight, as well as creating toxins that hurt small fish and shellfish after they consume it. Not only do the algae hurt the environment, they also end up creating dead zones in the water where aquatic life can no longer survive because of the lack of oxygen, forcing marine life to either leave the area or die. Tampa Bay Times reports environmentalists are urging the state government to do more to address its polluted water.